Chapter 20. The quickest way to get students in your corner was on the offer of free food and drink. Once again, Malone chose Raja, the Indian cafe with lots of vegan options. She was hiding behind a menu when Decca, McAdams, and Rena showed up. A brief nod from her, and the trio sat down, and they were given menus. Dumbledore Batra came in a few minutes later wearing a parka, jeans, and boots. He hung up his coat on a rack, took in a deep whiff, and let it out slowly. Feels like home. He pulled up a chair on the outside of a booth meant for 4 people. Where have you been? Malone's face was still obscured by endless lists of entrees. She sounded peeved. I had an interview with Newberg. Newberg? Malone set down the menu and gave him the death stare. How'd you arrange that? I begged. He gave me 20 minutes. Is he taking you on? Probably not. What about you? Any luck? No, I may have to look outside the department. She folded her hands. Rosa's not helping me. He hates me. He hates everyone, not Eli. No, Eli was about the only one he liked. Then Wolf had the nerve to rock the boat, and all was not well. Batra shook his head and looked at Decker. We're scrambling to find new advisors, and it's hard because the department is so small. It's our senior year, for God's sake. I was just about done with my thesis. This has been a nightmare. I guess it would be a nightmare for Katrina Belfort, except she's dead, McAdam said. Yeah, well, Batra looked sheepish. Thanks for dinner. Who is Newberg? The Decker asked. Faculty, Batra said. Also new, but he's jammed up, apparently. Asshole, Decker said. There are ladies present. Batra bit his lips. Sorry. He looked at Rena. I don't think we've met. Rena smiled. Rena Decker. No blood relationship. That's a big coincidence. Oh. He hit his forehead. You are Detective Decker's wife. I am. So nice to meet you. Same. Can we order? Malin had gone beyond peeved to full-out grumpy. I've got a shitload of work waiting for me. Decker signaled the waiter. The 2 kids both ordered dinner specials. McAdam ordered a chai tea and 2 regular teas for Decker and Rena since all 3 had eaten. Malin kept folding and unfolding hands. Well, the feeling is mutual. Decker said, Pardon? Rosa, I hate Rosa as much as he hates me. What a pompous little prick. Batra said, more like a twit. How'd he get along with Dr. Belfort? McAdams asked. Malin shrugged. I never heard her go off on him, but she did think he was a misogynist. It's like kind of obvious. Batra said, why are you asking about Rosa? Katrina's dead. I'm talking to a lot of people. He's a jerk, Malin said, but I don't think it was his fault that she killed herself. Decker said, so do you think Dr. Belfort committed suicide? That's what everyone is saying, Batra paused. Do you have other ideas? Was she depressed? Decker asked. I don't think so, but I didn't know her well. You knew her well enough to call her by her first name. We all did, Malin said. She wasn't that much older than us, and it was her idea. Yeah, exactly. Our relationship was strictly professional, but you've been to her house. Batra tense. So have Malin and Ari and Eli and a bunch of other students. She had an open door policy on weekends. She liked being available to her students. All you had to do was call before you came. What of it? What of what? Stop obfuscating. There was nothing going on between her and me or any of her students, and that didn't have to do with math. She wasn't like that. No need to get defensive, Batra, McAdam said. We have to ask. And you've got your answer. Anything else? Stop being peeved, Decker said. And for your information, we'll be asking a lot more questions. That's what you do in a murder investigation. Malin's eyes grew wide. She was murdered? Decker sidestepped her question. I've got a forensics team going through her place, bit by bit. Plus, I have her cell phone and computer. Most of her calls and texts were to students, colleagues, and her brother. Times and dates of meetings and things like that. So when you tell me the relationship was professional, I have no reason to doubt you. Well, that's good to hear. Thank you very much, Batra said. Keep up the snotty attitude, and I'll really start coming down on you, Decker said. Until I know better, you're all suspects. Got it? The kid said nothing. Batra finally said, Are you arresting me or something? If you're asking if you're free to go, the answer is yes. I wouldn't recommend it, though. Makes you look bad. When Batra didn't answer, Decker said, once we break into her email, we'll probably find out a lot more about her life. So if either of you has something to share, now's a good time. Malin was fidgety. I'm with Batra. I don't know much about Katrina's outside life. We almost always talked math. What kind of math? Rena asked. Manon looked at her as if she just realized she was at the table. Fourier analysis. Rena said, I'm no expert, but it seems like this is a wide open field when it comes to practical applications. It has about 1 billion uses, Decker said, so maybe you can narrow it down a little for us. For instance, what was Dr. Belford's doctorate thesis in? Batra lunged back into her chair and sighed. The interplay between Fourier's transform and the stochastic oscillator. He glanced at Mela. No need for the death stare. They can find out about her dissertation in a heartbeat, and if they've confiscated her computer, they're eventually going to find out what she was doing. McAdams said, and what exactly was she doing? Nothing illegal, if that's what you're thinking. Marilyn said it was just frowned upon by the department. Silence. Decker said, okay, kids, out with it. Let's hear the specifics. Batra said, Katrina took on a number of outside consulting jobs with Major League's hedge funds to do things like that. On such a large scale, she had to get permission from the department. They have to check for conflict of interest and that kind of thing. I, for one, think it's a stupid policy. Your opinion is duly noted, McAdams said. You're saying her extracurricular activities could have gotten her fired. It would have gotten her in hot water with Rosa, especially because she doesn't have tenure. Why she take such a risk? Money, of course, Mana said. It paid like 5 times her salary. So why didn't she quit the college and become a personal consultant? McAdams asked. She was waiting for tenure, Batra said. That would have given her more prestige. And the more prestige, the more money. Title impresses a lot of people, Decker said. And I take it you two were involved with her outside activities. His question was met with silence. It's all going to come out. Just start from the beginning. She asked us in, Manon said. It's not like we thought of it. I wish we did, Batra said. She must have been making a boatload of bucks because she was paying each one of us around $1,500 a month, and there was 4 of us. So, well, 3 now that Eli's gone. That's $6,000 a month out of her pocket. I don't think he needs specific amounts, Damador, Melina said. Why don't you let us decide what we need? Decker now knew where Eli's pocket money was coming from. So tell me, what did you do for her? Batra said she had a very practical dissertation, good theories that could be put to use by a lot of people. So she began to outsource her ideas to several hedge funds. She got a bite, then another, then another. It became too much for her. She had us doing most of the calculations, and her dissertation was about Fourier transform and stochastic oscillator, Mellon said. McAdams had taken out his iPad. A stochastic oscillator is a market momentum indicator. It tells the direction of movement of a stock not by price or volume but by momentum, because momentum usually antecedes prices. Exactly, Batra said. I have no idea what that means, Decker said. Malin said it's a percentage indicator that predicts whether or not a stock will go up or down by seeing how it moves in very small increments. If you get a positive momentum indicator, meaning momentum is up, you can buy in before the price actually moves. We're talking like in nanoseconds. It's a quant thing, McAdams said. Yeah, Malin said. It's in and out trading. Arena said, I thought stochastic in math means random. It does, Roger said, but stochastic in probability theory means a randomness through which order is found. It's like this, Mana said. You take a huge set of data, thousands of random facts, to make sense out of it. You begin to sort things together. Maybe eventually you'll see a pattern, like flipping a coin, Badger said. If you flip it in any given time, you have no way of predicting whether it will land on heads or tails. Even if you flip it 1,000 times and get 1,000 heads, the next flip will not guarantee a tail. But if you flip in zillions of times, you'll eventually see that you have a 50% chance of the coin landing on the heads and a 50% chance of it being tails. Making sense out of randomness, Marlon repeated. So where do Fourier transform analysis come in? Rena asked. She had you break down the stock movement into simpler waves to help her predict movement. Batra snapped his fingers and pointed to her. You're good, Marlon said. Katrina has us analysing the momentum of a zillion stocks at any given day to feed into her data bank, so she could make recommendations to companies. There must be an existing software program that can do this, McAdams said. I'm sure there are software programs for everything. Beatrice said Katrina was working on something much more sensitive and sophisticated. I think her end goal was to sell out to someone for big bucks. If you break down her hard drive, I'm sure it'll be filled with what we were doing. Malin looked down. I'd appreciate if you didn't bring us into the equation unless you absolutely have to do it. I mean, technically, I didn't do anything wrong, just working for a professor, but I'm sure it would give Rosa just another reason to hate me. Badger said, the guy has a stainless steel stick up his butt. McAdams said, why do you think Rosa hates his students? He's just that kind of guy, Malin said. He takes on one pet student and hates the rest of us. And Elijah Wolf was the pet, Decker said. He was until Eli went to the dark side and asked to switch advisors, Batra said. Since then, Rosa had been especially obnoxious to everyone, Malin said. He gets bad student ratings, but he's head of the department, so I guess it doesn't matter. Decker said, I want to go over where you guys were last night again. The kids reiterated their story. Malin said, as if I wasn't freaked out enough about last night, now you tell me Dr. Belfort was murdered? I don't know how much more stress I can handle. If I wasn't a senior, I'd take a leave of absence. Right now, all I want to do is get the hell out of here. Decker said, Malin, are you sure you don't have anything worth stealing in your room, like possibly data from your venture with Dr. Belford? First of all that data is in my computer. Secondly, anything that we do by hand computation was left at Katrina's house, so no, nothing in my room was worth stealing. But Decker wasn't so sure. He felt that the breaking was part of the puzzle, but he had yet to form the grand picture, let alone how all the pieces fit together. So neither of you has any papers from Dr. Belford's extracurricular activities? Nope, Batra said. Nothing, Malin said. More information to process, more things that could have gotten Katrina Belfort murdered. He was trying to narrow things down. Instead, the gulf between unsolved and solved was widening. There was always that chasm to cross. It was always a challenge not to fall in. Walking home, McAdams turned to Rena. You're awfully quiet. I was thinking over dinner, you mentioned the possibility of Katrina Belfort breaking into Malin's dorm room because she was looking for something. And what if Katrina was hiding something in Malin's room instead of looking for something? Wouldn't that make just as much sense? I don't know, Rena. Maybe Katrina thought that Malin had her data and was right. She was going to do something with it, either go to Rosa or use it for her own benefit. Malin wouldn't go to Rosa because she was just as involved as Katrina was, and she probably didn't know all the intricacies of Katrina's program, but maybe Katrina thought that Rosa was closing in on her. Rena paused. Just maybe Katrina took all of her papers and went to Malin's room to hide them for safekeeping. Maybe that's what Eli's hidden papers are about. She had all the stuff on the computer, Rena, Decker said. But it's harder to break into a computer than to find hand computation. I'm sure at some point she became very protective of her work, and Rosa certainly disapproved of what she was doing, so perhaps she decided to stash them in a safe place. Okay, Decker said. So she hid papers in Malin's dorm room, except we didn't find any papers. I know. And how did the hidden papers lead to her murder? I don't know if they did. McAdams said maybe Rosa came to Belford's house to confront her about her outside job. They argued and he accidentally killed her, but he still didn't find the papers linked to the hedge funds. So he goes to Malin's room, hoping to find something incriminating there. When he comes away empty, he returned to Katrina's house to bury her up in the woods, or more like leave her in the woods. There was no attempt to hide her. On the contrary, whoever brought her up there wanted to make it look like a suicide similar to Eli's death. There's a lot of hypotheses and very short time frame to work with, Decker said. Why would Katrina go to Malin's room? McAdams said. And why would she toss the room? What purpose would that have? Misdirect, Decker said. Personally, I don't see Katrina tossing Malin's room to look for papers she already has. That's taking a big chance, Rena said. Then it wasn't Katrina. Who was it? Maybe it was Malin, Digger said. Maybe she was doing it for attention, McAdams said. Just this morning you were saying she seemed genuinely shaken. Things changed, especially since Malin and Batra were doing something iffy with Katrina. Why would Malin sneak into her dorm room, toss it, go back to the library, and then call me in a panic, McAdams said. If she was guilty of something, she wouldn't want to draw attention to herself, Rena said. So if it isn't Melon, or Katrina, who broke the dorm room. Our mystery woman is still at large. Decker said, "You're great at squashing ideas. Do you have anything positive to add, such as the identity of your mystery woman?" "Nope," Decker smiled. "Some help you are." "When are you going to see Eli's parents?" Rena asked. "I was going to go on Sunday, but now it looks like I'm going to Manhattan to visit Katrina's brother. I suppose I can do it tomorrow if the investigation doesn't take any sudden turn. I shall stop by the firm and then take him back to Cambridge." The him is right here. "Since when am I leaving tomorrow?" "You need to study." "Oh, joy." "I'm still coming with you," Rena said. "I would like to see Ruth Ann again." "Let her come," McAdam said. "I like her company." "Whose side are you on?" "Don't go there, Pod. Unless you really want to hear my answer." "Fine, come with us. You're way better company than he is." McAdam said. "I was about to say the same thing." Rena laughed. "As long as you're going to the farm, you might want to ask Jacob if Eli sent him a package. His research, or maybe copies of what he was doing with Katrina Belfort. A lot of time, Sips keeps secrets from her parents." Jacob said he wasn't particularly close to Eli. "You only have Jacob's word for that." "Why would he lie? Misrepresent the relationship possibility. Possibly. If you thought they weren't close, you should stop asking questions." "What are you getting at, Rena?" "If Eli sent Jacob private stuff for safekeeping, he most likely told his brother to keep it under lock and key. Jacob's not going to volunteer information like that. Sometimes you need to ask the right questions and get the answers you want." Thank you.